It's Jason from the Wood County District Public Library Ukulele Club and the Grand Royale Ukulelists of the Black Swamp. Last time I introduced you to the simple joys of playing songs in the key of F on the ukulele. You only need one finger on the fretboard to play those two chords. It's an easy, low-stress way to start making real music right away. Well, not every song is easy to sing in the key of F, and F isn't the easiest key if you're not playing a ukulele. And maybe even more importantly, there are lots of songs that require more than two chords, so you will eventually need to learn more fingerings anyway. Today, I'd like to help you take the next baby step down that path. The second easiest key to play songs in on the ukulele is the key of G. All you need is two fingers. I sort of like to use the middle two fingers for this chord. Doesn't matter. Take these two fingers and put them at the second fret, 1, 2, of the first string up from the floor and the third string up from the floor. This is a fancy G chord. It's called G6. Like a regular G chord, it's got these notes, G, B, and D, and it also has E, which is the sixth note of the G scale. If you move these two fingers over to the other two strings, up from the first and third string from the floor, up to the second and fourth string from the floor, then you get a D7 chord. Now the relationship between the F and C7 is the same as the relationship between G and D7. You can play all the same songs you could play last week in the key of F, now in the key of G, a step higher. I'm singing in the rain, just singing in the rain. What a glorious feeling, I'm happy again. Jambalaya, crawfish pie, and a filet gumbo. Hang your head over, hear the wind blow. The usual way, the standard way to play a regular G chord is not only less jazzy sounding, but it's more complicated to play. The usual way to play a regular D7 chord is arguably more complicated still. And you'll eventually want to learn to play both of these, the regular G and the regular D7, but maybe not today. This easy two-finger version of the D7 chord is often called the Hawaiian D7. I'm going to want to say more about this voicing of these notes, but feel free to stop here for now. Practice playing some songs with the G6 and D7, and maybe come back some other time later for the bonus music theory content. But before you go, I do want to recommend James Hill's video at the link below. G6 is James Hill's favorite chord. I have a lot of bonus material I wanted to include today, but here's a little bit of it. F and C7 are the 1 and 5 chords, or the tonic and dominant chords in the key of F. Likewise, G and D7 are the tonic and dominant chords in the key of G. In some songs, the tonic and dominant are the only two chords, as in some of the ones I demonstrated earlier in this video. In a lot of other songs, they're the two most important chords with the most important relationship. In a lot of different styles of music, jazz, pop, folk, and classical, you'll find this 5-1 or dominant tonic chord progression at the end of a verse or the end of a chorus or the end of a stanza or other musical unit. C7 wants to lead you home to F. And likewise, D7 wants to lead you home to G. As you learn more and more chords, and learn to play more songs in more different keys, you'll find this same relationship over and over. Okay, one other bonus thing today. This same fingering in different contexts gives you at least these 4 different chords. G6 with a G in the bass, E minor 7 with E in the bass, C major 9 if you put a C in the bass, and a really super fancy, less common one, A9 sus4 if you put A in the bass. We can change the identity of the chord by changing its perceived root note in the bass voice. In fact, in the last 2 examples, we changed the identity of the chord by adding a bass note that wasn't originally in the ukulele chord at all. There's no C in this, but if we add a C in the bass, it sounds like a fancy C chord. And there's no A in this, but if we add an A in the bass, we get a very fancy sounding A chord. Which brings me back to the Hawaiian D7. You may have noticed there's no D. In other words, this chord is missing its root note. Here's what it sounds like with a D in the bass. There's a lot more to say later about changing the character of a chord with different bass notes. But for now, that's it. See you next time. Aloha.